As you are aware, the ongoing conflict in the Amhara region has escalated into intense fighting on multiple fronts, primarily involving the Amhara and Fano forces pitted against the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, ENDF. Recent reports have shed light on a deeply distressing situation, providing a conservative estimate of the number of Amhara civilians who have tragically lost their lives due to the actions of Oromo ENDF forces in various areas, including Gojam, Gondar, and Shewa. In Sira Aryam and Dembeka, both located in the Gojam region, the situation has taken a grim turn. Reports indicate that Oromo NDF drones were responsible for the deaths of 18 Amhara civilians near a church in Sira Aryam. Similarly, in Gotsefa, situated in Agar Wefcho, and in Dembeka, also located in Gojam, Oromo NDF forces claimed the lives of 20 Amhara civilians. Shockingly, Hospital Street and Muyana Technique Street in Dembeka became the scenes of violence as Oromo NDF forces opened fire on civilian homes, leading to the tragic deaths of several innocent civilians. South Gondar was not spared from this horrifying wave of violence. In Makain Salam, Oromo NDF forces reportedly killed 8 Amhara civilians, including 3 monks. Furthermore, shops were looted and civilians were subjected to brutal beatings, compounding the misery faced by the local population. Demuti and Emmanuel, both located in Gojam, also witnessed grave atrocities as Oromo NDF forces reportedly took the lives of several civilians, further deepening the humanitarian crisis. Turning our attention to northern Shewa, specifically Chatweha and Zerite, reports highlight the grim reality of 4 Amhara women civilians losing their lives in Chatweha and 5 Amhara civilians, 4 men and 1 woman, meeting a tragic end in Zerite on the same day at the hands of Oromo NDF forces. The devastating use of drones by Oromo NDF forces continued in Kwarit Gojam, particularly in Washas and Weibeing, where 14 Amhara civilians lost their lives. The death toll is expected to rise further as the full extent of the damage becomes clear. Boy Enku in Kwarit Gojam witnessed a similar drone attack, resulting in the tragic deaths of several Amhara civilians. Zimbit, another area in Kwarit Gojam, was not spared either, as Oromo NDF forces deployed drones, claiming the lives of several Amhara civilians who were returning from Selassie Church. In Debre Marcos, situated in Gojam, the situation took a particularly heart-wrenching turn as shelling near Abanamariam resulted in the death of an Amhara woman and her child in their own home. The total number of Amhara civilians killed by drones in Dembeka Gojam has reached an alarming figure nearing 50, and sadly, this number is expected to rise. Wow. The Aragodana town in the Amhara region has been plunged into a horrifying ordeal as reports emerge of a door-to-door massacre of Amhara civilians allegedly carried out by the Oromia Special Forces. The context surrounding this tragic event paints a complex picture of territorial disputes and strategic interests. Aragodana is strategically located in close proximity to the borders of Oromia and Afar and is situated just a few kilometers from the Ethio-Djibouti Railway. This geographical positioning has made it a focal point of contention. The Oromia government has been actively seeking to annex this town into Oromia, further intensifying the regional tensions. The situation took a grievous turn when, in the previous year, the Oromia government dispatched their special forces to attack Aragodana. These special forces, disguised as militia, engaged in hostilities that resulted in the tragic deaths of not only local residents, but also a dozen federal police officers. The intensity of the conflict caught the attention of the international media, further highlighting the complex dynamics at play in this region. During this violent encounter, the Oromia Special Forces faced stiff resistance from the local Amhara militia. This resistance resulted in a significant setback for the Oromia Special Forces, with reports suggesting that they lost at least 26 of their fighters during the clashes. The incident drew international media attention due to its brutality and the broader implications it carried for regional stability. The door-to-door massacre of Amhara civilians in Aragodana is a deeply distressing development, especially in the context of the ongoing territorial dispute and the previous violent confrontation. Such actions not only result in the tragic loss of innocent lives, but also contribute to the perpetuation of the cycle of violence and suffering in the region. The situation in Aragodana underscores the urgent need for peaceful conflict resolution mechanisms and dialogue between the concerned parties. The protection of civilians and the upholding of human rights must be paramount in any efforts to address this crisis. Furthermore, international organizations and diplomatic channels should remain engaged in monitoring and mediating the situation to prevent further escalation and to promote a lasting and just resolution to the complex issues at hand. The people of Aragodana, and indeed the entire region, deserve peace, security, and stability. It is imperative that all stakeholders work together to achieve these goals and prevent further loss of life and suffering in this troubled area. Reports have recently emerged shedding light on a deeply disturbing and tragic situation in the Amhara region of Ethiopia. It has been alleged that the Ethiopian government was responsible for the deaths of over 30 innocent civilians through the use of drone strikes in western Gojam, an area that has been a focal point of ongoing conflict and tension. These attacks have been shockingly widespread, affecting numerous towns and villages inhabited by Amhara communities, including Debre Marcos, Adietna Marawi, Debre Tabor, Delgi, Majeti, Shiwa Robit, and Antsokia. The sources reporting on these incidents have indicated that the drone strikes attributed to the Abiy regime were particularly devastating in the city of Dembeka and the Hashquarit district, both situated within the West Gojam zone of the Amhara region. These strikes occurred on a fateful Sunday and resulted in the tragic loss of more than 45 innocent civilians. The indiscriminate nature of these attacks raises serious concerns about the safety and security of civilians in conflict-affected areas. The use of drones in armed conflicts has become a contentious issue, as it often raises questions about the protection of non-combatants and adherence to international humanitarian law. In this instance, the reported drone strikes have resulted in a significant loss of civilian life, further exacerbating the already dire humanitarian situation in the region. The impact of such attacks extends beyond the immediate loss of life, as they can also lead to the displacement of communities, the destruction of vital infrastructure, and the disruption of essential services. These incidents underscore the urgent need for a peaceful resolution to the ongoing conflict in the Amhara region and for measures to ensure the protection and well-being of civilians caught in the crossfire. As these reports continue to emerge and as further investigations take place, it is crucial that the international community closely monitors the situation, calls for accountability, and supports efforts aimed at finding a peaceful and lasting resolution to the conflict in the Amhara region. The protection of civilians and the upholding of international humanitarian law must remain a top priority in addressing this deeply troubling situation.